Welcome everyone. This is the What Ingredients to Avoid to Make Healthy Green Smoothies class with myself, Avita Oshel. If you are familiar with my work already, then you know that I am a whole food, plant-based educator and holistic nutritionist, and someone really who specializes in helping people live optimally healthy lives. And as I just shared in the quick introduction about myself, please keep in mind as we go through this class that my perspective in terms of what I teach and why I teach what I teach to help support people like yourself to lead the best, again, have the best health and lead the best, healthiest lifestyle you can, is coming from the perspective of two big areas. One is optimal health. That means I'm not going to dispense advice to you that just basically, tackles the average health and the average advice that we see in our society. So I don't follow, the fads and the trends that are being heavily marketed because these always end up being problematic. I like timeless, trusted wisdom that comes from both quality science and the laws of nature and the laws of our human body, our natural biology and anatomy. So optimal health is where it all is for me in terms of what I share and how I'm going to be helping you. So you might hear some things that might surprise you because you've heard them from so many other health practitioners that made them sound like they're just fine. And that is valid, again, but you have to always understand, where's the person coming from? Are they catering to just average health, general health, or are they, coming from a perspective that sets the bar higher, where it's our optimal health? And, I always also add this in terms of making sure that we understand that there are two different approaches in how you're going to eat. Are you eating to survive or are you eating to thrive? And I always encourage my groups to ask themselves that question, because to eat to survive is very easy. Pretty much anything that you find palatable and available, you can eat to survive. But to thrive, to eat to thrive, is in some ways, I would say nothing short of an art form. That doesn't mean that it's complex. On the contrary, it's very easy. But it takes us to, decondition ourselves a lot from what we keep hearing through the media, through our mainstream society. So that's very important. Now, the second perspective that I come from is holistic. This means that I don't take a reductionist approach and we, crunch numbers. If you want to eat for the right numbers, that's never going to give you the right health and weight. You're always going to be playing with something and stressed by something. Instead, we should be eating for the right foods. So there's a big difference there as well. And that's where that holistic perspective also comes in. So on that note, let's jump right into our green smoothie basics. Now, the green smoothie basics are meant to answer two questions, especially for any of you joining me today who are brand new to green smoothies. Yes, you're going to learn what not to put in them, but maybe you don't even know what are these things called green smoothies and why are they so important. So why green smoothies? Well, this is just a really short summary, but it gives you a perspective of the most important parts that make green smoothies so powerful for your health, for your weight, and for your energy, and of course, longevity. So first, a true green smoothie is made of real food. That means food that actually was produced by nature, not produced in any kind of factory or laboratory, etc. And it's whole plant food, and that's very important. We don't, basically the opposite would be getting into any animal foods or getting into any processed foods. Those would be the opposite of whole plant food. That's when we're really hitting at the optimal approach. Otherwise, all the other foods are problematic, and this is why a true green smoothie wouldn't include them. What else? Well, one of the key features besides this, you can eat real whole plant food by eating a salad, by eating a soup, by eating many, many different meals. But specifically, the power of green smoothies is that it allows you to have an easy way to get more leafy greens. And this is very important because statistics show that two of the most important foods that people are routinely not getting enough of are greens and beans. So easy way to get greens. Yes, of course, you can add them to a salad, and you should have them always as part of any salad or any other meal you can put them into. But it is so important to, again, maximize your greens as much as possible. And with green smoothies, this makes it so easy, especially for anyone who doesn't enjoy maybe chewing them or maybe, dealing with them or even tasting them, right? Sometimes our taste buds have to adjust to actually enjoy leafy greens. So this makes them, again, easy and delicious. Why? Because if you're going to make the right green smoothie, it's going to be delicious. And I'm going to emphasize that a few times throughout our class today, as so often people look at these drinks and they say, oh, that must taste horrible. And I mean, it can if you put the wrong ingredients in or if you don't make it taste well. But if you follow, again, the guidance and the advice here that I'll be sharing with you, you will find they taste really fantastic. And I always like to see and hear from people who are really surprised when they try their first green smoothie and say, wow, this tastes so good. Yes, it does. So you don't have to worry, but you can get your greens and all the amazing benefits that they provide. What else? Well, green smoothies are nutrient dense and nutrient balanced. Nutrient dense means they are naturally low in calories, unless you artificially, really boost them on calories, which we'll talk about a little bit, and how to not make your green smoothies work against you that way. So naturally low in calories, of course, you can bulk them up in calories if you would like to in healthy, wholesome, natural ways. Let's say you're very active and a, general base green smoothie, might just be more like a snack for you. So then, yes, you would want to up the calories. But based on the standard green smoothie, they're naturally low in calories, but extremely high in nutrients. And that's what we want. That's what makes an optimally healthy meal. Again, moving around and keeping in balance also our nutrients as well. This means that for optimal human health, we want to keep our carbohydrates high. And again, I know this goes in the face of all the low carb diets out there, but my intention is to teach you what will be timeless and optimal and ideal for your body, not the fad diets that come and go and have all types of problems and controversies associated with them. So we have to keep in mind, carbohydrates are not bad. They're bad when they're processed. Your fruits that go into green smoothies are carbohydrates. Your vegetables that go into green smoothies are carbohydrates. But not just that. We have to get away from the mentality of seeing these foods as one nutrient or another. Leafy greens have all the protein you need, all the carbohydrates you need, and are naturally low in fat. Fruits, lower on the protein than leafy greens, are extremely high on protein, but still have some protein and have good carbohydrate amounts and healthy carbohydrates, and also naturally low in fat. And you'll see that we are also going to be adding seeds, which are high in fat, balance out the fat content, and more lower on the carbs, and still have a good protein amount. So we don't want to mess with, generally speaking, some kind of a 60 to 80%, if you really want to hear some numbers, of our carbohydrate composition, because that is your fruits, your vegetables, your grains, your beans, your foundationally healthy, optimal foods. And then you would also include some nuts and seeds to balance out the fat content. Now, they're also extremely high in vitamins and minerals. And this is what is so beautiful about them. Often we don't, keep in mind that there is actually so much calcium in all of these whole plant foods. And we think we always have to go to dairy for calcium, but nothing could be further from the truth. So you're getting your important minerals, iron included, copper, etc. So what else here? We've got high in antioxidants, high in phytonutrients. Antioxidants are what help you to repair all the damage that happens in your body on a daily basis. From what? Just from living, really. Especially today, we've got so much pollution, and we've got water that's polluted and air, and our food has different problems, right? We've got, radio waves and all sorts of things. That's where we need our antioxidants to clean up and help repair, remove cells that are dangerous, such as cancerous cells, etc., and prevent such damage from happening. Phytonutrients, if you're new to these are phytochemicals or phytonutrients that basically are only found in plant foods, specifically whole plant foods, and they are our powerful medicines in terms of nature has provided us with everything we need to ward off, protect ourselves from, prevent, and heal, if it happens, acute and chronic diseases. So they are strongly associated with being cancer preventative and healing, inflammation in the body. And I'm not going to get into it because this is our summary, but everything pretty much. So we want as many of these in our diet as possible to be optimally healthy. Anti-inflammatory, a green smoothie is naturally anti-inflammatory. Alkalizing, That's important as well. Weight friendly, as shared, they're naturally low in calories. They don't have any processed food. They don't have any animal foods. So you can feel good about drinking or eating, consuming them basically. So whether you're trying to maintain your weight, whether you're trying to lose weight, green smoothies are an excellent addition. Cleansing and detoxifying, anytime you're dealing with greens, you're going to get powerful cleansing and detoxification benefits. What about fruits? Fruits are some of the most cleansing foods we have. So you're starting your day, maybe you're ending your day on a highly cleansing and detoxifying note, which is very important, again, given the chemical load in our society today. And so in summary, really, they provide healing and prevention for any and all acute and chronic diseases. There's nothing that they cannot help to make better. And if you're wondering, well, what about diabetes if they have fruits? Again, there's so much outdated and misinformation where fruits are not associated with being a problem. In fact, they help to prevent and heal diabetes. What about the practical benefits? Well, they're cost effective. This is something that gets missed, of course, unless there's a catch. The catch is if you're buying them out from a restaurant, from a smoothie bar, then they're not as cost effective. You're going to likely pay double or triple for your green smoothie if you're getting them from an external source versus if you make it at home. So this is where, the average green smoothie can cost really about $3 for a really good portion, like 2 cups we're talking about. And that's, again, on average. It could be as little as $2. It could be a little bit more as $4, depending on the fruits you use and the season, etc. But the point is, that's a very good low-cost meal for so much benefits, for so much nutritional value. And last but not least, they're quick and easy to make anytime. This means no matter how little time you have or how much time you have, you can always make them. And they're great for kids. They're great for, our adult years. And they're great also if you're in your elderly years, because they are very easy to digest and very easy no matter what, maybe teeth conditions are present, oral health conditions, etc. So many benefits, but this is really the most concise list and summary I can give you. So what would be going into them to make these healthy green smoothies? Well, the class again is focused on what not to put on them. So I'm just going to share with you the summary that you're focused on leafy greens, fruits, omega-3 seeds, and water. Now, that's the summary. If you want the details, I have the video available freely online. It's green smoothie template you can find on healthitarian.com, and it's also hosted on YouTube. So that's if you want you're brand new maybe to green smoothies, you're thinking, what fruits, what omega-3 seeds? Just watch that video and you will have all your questions answered. Optionally, we can also add raw nuts or other seeds, and that's if you want to naturally boost those calories. Again, if you're very active, you want more, no problem. And functional or medicinal foods. These would still be whole plant foods, but the difference is that you wouldn't be normally adding these in large amounts or even on a regular basis. Again, unlike what is marketed out there, that it's like boost your smoothie with everything possible. No. There's a time and place. We have to respect the laws of nature. There's certain foods that are good at certain times, but overdoing it, best case scenario, just wastes your money. Worst case scenario, it can take a toll on other areas of the body. So we have to be wise and smart in how we use this. And so you see in the image, this is just how simple and easy it is. And in essence, what you're eating when you take your leafy greens, such as the example here is spinach, a banana, and an orange. Flaxseed is an example of an omega-3 seed. And in this case, I'm showing you some ashwagandha root powder. It's pure ground down ashwagandha, which is considered a functional or medicinal food. You blend that together with water and that's what you get. That's what you're eating. So you have to, again, picture, if you're not a green smoothie fan, you've got somebody in your house and who maybe says, no, I don't want to drink this stuff. No problem. Serve them this stuff and say, no, you can chew it. Technically it is better. There's no doubt about that, right? Sometimes people say, but what about blending? How much does it destroy? Well, in terms of destruction of nutrients, really, it's no worse and not even close to what we do with cooking. So I always tell people, please don't fall for the fears that, sometimes are spread online, but blending destroys nutrients, etc. Generally speaking, of course, we always take a hit on some nutrient loss anytime we touch our food. So you cut it, there's a little bit. You let it sit for a long time, etc. But the point being that you can eat all this just as it is, or you can put it together and blend it together. So moving on now, the bulk, what not to add. The very first thing and the most common thing, and really the most serious thing that I see people adding to their green smoothies all the time is dairy. Now, whether that means milk, whether that means yogurt or some kind of other form of dairy, even I've seen people add cream. So what is the problem? This is a big problem because I've just finished explaining to you all these amazing benefits for nutrients and for health that you're getting. When you're adding dairy, you're now decreasing those benefits or actually sabotaging those benefits. And on top of that, you're also adding ingredients that are going to cause your body stress every time, no ands, ifs, or buts. Now I get it. Again, depending on your personal background and what you've been taught or who you've been listening to up to this point, you might be thinking, but dairy's always, I've been told I need it. Absolutely not, right? So why? This is a summary. And if you would like a very thorough explanation, on my website, evolvingwellness.com, I provide a thorough explanation of why dairy is not part of an optimally healthy diet. Again, just remember what I said at the beginning. Keep in mind that there's a way to eat to survive. You can eat dairy, and there's a way to eat if you want to thrive. And to thrive, dairy is just not part of the equation. So why? Well, it's not a healthy food for humans. The nutritional makeup of dairy is perfectly designed for the cow, and specifically a baby cow. It does not meet basically our human nutritional needs. Every animal has different nutritional needs in terms of how much protein it needs, how much carbs, how much fats, what kind of protein, what kind of carbs, what kind of fats. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Then we get into different vitamins and minerals. That's also one part. But then most people don't know about all the different other immune compounds that are present that basically sabotage and interfere with our human immune function that are present, for example, in dairy. There's something like casein, which is a type of protein, also very problematic for humans. So there's a huge list, but like I said, we want to stick to the summary. And the summary is that nature has created mammalian milk for the species of that animal. And what we've done in our society by incorporating dairy is a huge disservice to us. I get it. Not everybody sees it that way yet, but slowly and surely we are coming around. And this is why we're seeing a huge shift nowadays in terms of getting away from dairy. So undesirable nutritional profile, as I shared with you, dairy is one of the top allergens. We cannot get away from that. It's in the top 5 in terms of the allergic reactions. This means that when you surface an allergy in your life and you're wondering, where did this come from? It could be from dairy. Dairy doesn't mean that it's going to cause that allergy, that you can't digest dairy. It means that your immune system is going to be on high alert and attack anything that when it crosses the threshold of what it can put up with or what it can basically, try to mediate until it can't. Mucus forming. Dairy is highly mucus forming, and this is why it's tied to so many different infections, either increasing your risk of infections or making them much worse. This means ear infections, nose infections, throat infections, and chest infections. So a lot of people today, especially at this time, concerned about the viral outbreak that we have in the world. But of course, there you can add the common cold, common flu, bronchitis, pneumonia, etc. All of these types of things are made that much worse when we are talking about the mucus formation and how your body deals with trying to digest and process dairy. Skin conditions, a lot of acne, a lot of eczema problems and other skin conditions that people don't correlate until they get off dairy. Skin clears up and they're like, oh my goodness, what just happened? Again, your skin is going to be one of the key organs of detoxification that shows you something is wrong in your body. We don't just get a pimple for, out of the blue for no reason. There's always something the body's trying to release that is basically, intoxicating it, that it has to release in one way or another. And depending on how your elimination is, depending how your organ function is, skin is one of the easiest ways for the body to try to expel toxins. Autoimmune problems, dairy is highly associated with, especially if somebody has an autoimmune condition or wants to prevent one, absolutely dairy is off the menu. Hormone problems, this means everything from the hormones that are in dairy to the hormones associated with our health today. Most affected are women, not just young girls and how early they enter puberty, but also, everybody along the way in terms of women throughout right into menopause and the problems in menopause that they face. But men have some, problems and associations here as well, but by no means in terms of the way it impacts women. Cancer, diabetes, heart disease, dairy turns on cancer genes. This has been proven with extremely high quality research and studies, so that has to be taken into effect. Diabetes is associated strongly with dairy, heart disease, etc. Digestive problems, it is one of the worst food combinations with fruit, especially. Big no-no, but we do it in our society because that's what we keep being shown on pictures and in recipes. So when we talk about these problems, one that I want to bring to your attention is the last point there, blocking of minerals and antioxidants. And learn about how, when dairies combine, for example, with dairies, science has found it blocks the antioxidants in berries. So people are eating their berries and their yogurt thinking they're doing their body good, but you're not likely to be getting a fraction, if not all of those benefits from the berries. So we have to keep that in mind as well. There's so much, but that's not what you're going to be hearing in the popular media. You have to do a little bit of digging or have already an inclination into optimal healthy eating to start connecting the dots and finding out this information, which is, again, not going to be present in the heavily marketed dairy in our society. Then you've got, drug, pesticide, GMO problems, pasteurization problems. So again, lots of different things that may be of concern and importance to different people. Bottom line, this is why we do not add dairy. Now, you may be wondering, but Greek yogurt, I've heard so many good things about Greek yogurt. Exactly. From who? You have to find out who told you this, right? What was the quality of the information and why Greek yogurt? Really, if you trickle, I always say, go back to the root, tie the knot, go back. Where the Greek yogurt got this high and mighty, reputation of being the thing is really because it was marketed as being lower in fat and higher in protein. And in our protein obsessed society, it was, it's like hook, line, and sinker. It was bought, sold, and people fell for it. But there's really nothing special. Yogurt in general is a very processed food, especially if it has any flavor added to it. But the more that the yogurt is, defatted or flavored or modified, it just, in the end, it's basically a very processed food that, aside the fact that it is dairy and comes from an animal. So in this case, you just have to be aware that there's nothing special about Greek yogurt. It's just something that was marketed very well in terms of which dairy to focus on and has won over a lot of people. But again, not the optimally healthy way to go. Next, what we don't want to put in green smoothies is non-dairy milk. By no means is this as a big no-no as dairy. This is more of there's some small problems, but it's not the worst case scenario if you do it. So here's why this one. Recall that I shared with you, if you're new to green smoothies, water is the key ingredient. A lot of people think automatically that non-dairy milk should go in there because they already know the problems with dairy. Not so. You don't need any non-dairy milk. Why? It's completely not necessary. Why would you want this in your smoothie? So again, you have to ask yourself, where did I get the idea that it's needed? And when you connect the dots, it's usually just because it seems to be what people are talking about. But scientifically, medically, from a health perspective, there's no reason. How about flavor? No. So it's not necessary. It is a processed plant food unless it's fresh, but you don't need to make it fresh because if you think about it, if you're using a raw nut or seed, and especially if you soak it, then you put it in your blender, makes the milky, creamy texture flavor for you way better than any product. And you don't have to do the extra work of doing the making the non-dairy milk yourself than just to add it. No, just add the nut, add the soaked seed, and there you go. The blender does the work for you. So if you absolutely, still feel, no, I still want it, then at least go for organic options, go for unsweetened, original non-dairy milk that you most agree with. But do keep in mind that most non-dairy milk has added sugars, added oils, as well as added, ingredients, sometimes synthetic, sometimes natural, but nonetheless, these are not whole natural foods. So what else? Well, a quick point here about packaging problems. Maybe you're concerned about that. What was it sitting in? Was it sitting in a plastic bottle? Right? And even sustainability problems. So these are just a few things from a holistic perspective that I wish to draw your attention to. Next, what we don't want to add, speaking of liquids, coconut water. Another thing that I come across so often that people think is a necessary or a good idea. Absolutely not necessary. It's just, again, very well marketed, and we tend to fall for it. And again, my intention is to help you save your money, save your health, and be a critical, wise, discerning consumer in terms of what you really need, what you really don't need. So it is a processed food unless it's fresh. I always say, if you live in the tropics, you've got fresh coconuts easily available, by all means, use all the coconut water you want. But if you don't, and you're relying on these cartons that are almost always lined with foil, packaging concern and a health concern, which is tied to aluminum concerns, or even plastic bottles, the waste they produce, the sustainability again, and the money they waste, because at the end of the day, you don't need it. Now, the biggest question I get is, well, but what about all of those healthy minerals in coconuts and our electrolytes? The greens, the leafy greens that you're putting in your green smoothie, and the fruits provide you with tons of potassium and magnesium and other minerals, as I shared with you. I mean, they're loaded with potassium. So you don't, again, need any of this stuff there. If you love the flavor of coconuts, if you can get some fresh coconut meat, that would be a much better way to go. Next, still on the topic of liquids, you don't want to add any juice. And this is a big one that also tends to be common in a lot of especially commercially made smoothies. So you might be at the grocery store and you have, all these different plastic bottles around with all these smoothies. Well, if you read the ingredients, most of them start with apple juice or grape juice, which are the sweetest juices that you would be using here in terms of, because they want to cheapen the product. At home, you wouldn't do that, or at least you shouldn't, right? So again, you have to keep that in mind. So why? Just like the non-dairy milk, it's completely not necessary. There's lots of sweetness already from the whole fruit. And so we have to, again, remember, what am I putting in there? Oh yeah, whole fruits. They don't cause blood sugar problems the same way that juice does. They include the fiber, unlike juice. You've got all the right benefits without the problems. So basically, juice is empty calories, and then also not weight friendly, because you're adding calories in a way that just basically your body understands as calories, but there's really very little, if any, nutritive value. So processed juice problems, now you've got pasteurized juices, you've got juices again in plastics and in cartons, not needed. But what about fresh juice? Just like with your non-dairy milk, some people ask, but can't I just make my own green juice or similar vegetable juice and put it in as the liquid of my green smoothie? Of course you can. In that case, it's homemade, juiced, you took all that time, but you don't need to go through all the trouble, go through all the work, when the whole point is to eat the whole plant foods of the leafy greens and the fruits you're putting in. Keep the juice as a snack, keep it as a nutritional boost at another time of the day. There's just no need to combine it together. And I know we've got this mentality often, but more is better, more is not better. Your body only wants so many nutrients and so many things to process at one time. So be kind to your body by keeping things in perspective. Next, what we don't want to add is any kind of sugar. No coconut sugar, no white sugar, no brown sugar, no agave syrup, no honey, no maple syrup. They're just not needed. And so first, again, think the fruits provide all the sweetness you need in a healthy way. Once you start adding isolated sweeteners, now we're getting into, again, empty calories, problems, more, weight problems, etc. Energy problems, especially that it will spike the sugar content unnaturally too high. And then you can have your lows, which fruits wouldn't do. You've got acidity problems, inflammation problems, and ultimately cravings, because the sweeter your fruits are, or your foods are, the sweeter that your diet is, and the more artificially you maintain that, rather than the natural flavors of foods, the more your body gets used to it. So this is why sometimes, of course, when people lead, or eat diets that are extremely sweet for numerous reasons, sodas, juices, cookies, cakes, whatever, then they may taste, a banana or even like a very nice green smoothie and say, but this is not sweet enough. Well, there's a reason for that, right? So you have to also be kind to your body by understanding it needs to recalibrate. If you've got a lot of sweetness in your diet, tone that down. And one of the key ways to do it is definitely don't add any sugar to your green smoothies. Now, what about dried fruits? Now, they could be fine, and some people use them like medjool dates, amazing, but you have to take some caution. So there's a time and place, and if you want to bulk up your smoothies with calories, you can do it through nuts or through something like a dried fruit, which is more dense in calories. But you have to take caution because it can quickly, again, over sweeten your green smoothie. You can also add excessive calories without, keeping it in mind, because dried fruits, unlike fresh fruits, are concentrated, right? So you just have to, again, be wise and know what you're doing and why in this regard. Next, we definitely do not want to add protein powders. And I know some of you are cringing or questioning, what? I thought this was like the base of what to put into a smoothie. Well, of course, into a smoothie. Our society makes tons of protein smoothies out there today. But remember, we're talking about optimally healthy green smoothies. And we're learning how to eat to thrive. And that means we are taking a different approach. So why not protein powders? Well, first, they're not necessary. In our society, we eat diets that are too high in protein. And just as I mentioned a little bit ago, more is not better when it comes to this nutrient. High protein diets, in fact, have been shown to be the most problematic for our health and longevity. Worse than high fat diets, believe it or not. Okay, so we got to really calm things down on the protein front. I know, protein shakes everywhere, protein powders, protein bars, protein everything. My goodness, cereals being marketed high in protein. This is just, again, a trend, a fad, something for various reasons that are, done in our society. The point being, don't fall for it. There's absolutely no need to add extra protein, even if you are eating a 100% whole food plant-based diet. That means even if you are a vegan, there's no need for extra protein because whole plant foods provide all the protein you need. And if this is new information for you, or if this is something you want to learn more about, and maybe I'm the one telling you this for the first time, then I provide lots of protein resources, again, evolvingwellness.com, which I will have in the slides at the end, and Healthitarian. I've got a big protein, poster infographic to teach you about the numbers, teach you about the amounts, teach you about the risks, and an article about the myths associated and scientifically proven about plant and animal protein, etc. So not a whole food, it's a completely unnatural isolate. It causes nutritional imbalance problems because now you're unnaturally forcing your body to deal with more protein, just as more sugar will be unnatural, etc. Processed food problems, and gosh, you name it, all the contamination problems you can think of. And this is what consumers are often not made aware of. If you go to a site, I believe it's called the Clean Project, it talks about all the different contamination problems when it comes to heavy metals and different protein powders. And this also includes the so-called marketed whole food or shake or smoothie, whole meal powder sometimes, or sometimes they still use the word protein. So from heavy metals to pesticides to GMOs, basically, this is not real food. As I shared with you, we want stuff made as naturally as possible, not fabricated, isolated in a factory. So if nothing else, save your money because these are not cheap products either, and invest instead in real whole food. What's next? Well, oils. And I normally wouldn't have to talk about this, except that there's a diet called the ketogenic or keto diet that has become very popular today with regards to being excessively and extremely high in fat. Now, part of that includes eating a lot of oils. And why this is a problem is because just like protein and the sugar, protein powders and the sugars, they unnaturally imbalance adding oils into our green smoothies, unnaturally imbalance the nutrient or nutritional content. It's an unnatural isolate. It's not a whole food. It's a processed food, no matter how we cut it. Take your best case, virgin organic coconut oil. It's still a processed food. It's still an unnatural isolate. You want the benefit of the coconut. You want extra fat. Coconut meat, fresh, soft, or fresh, the harder one. Dried coconut, unsweetened, unsulfured, no problem. You want to increase the fat in safe and healthy ways, not with such problematic isolates. So what's the problem with oils? I've got a whole article explaining that, and you can learn about the heart problems, the artery stress and damage every time, regardless of the oil. This is something that's not marketed. We hear olive oil is great, coconut oil is great, avocado oil, oh gosh, you name it. We don't hear, wait a minute, yeah, depends how you're comparing them, but at the end of the day, they all cause artery stress and damage. So keeping that in mind, this is a definite no-no for our optimally healthy green smoothies. So high fat health problems, weight problems, and in the end, it makes an oily smoothie. So I personally wouldn't enjoy that, and I know many people wouldn't. So keep your oils out of your smoothies. Last but not least, processed nuts and seeds. I shared with you that the foundation for an optimally healthy smoothie is to add seeds, specifically omega-3 seeds, and potentially nuts or other seeds if you want to bulk up your smoothie naturally. But again, that means raw seeds, not roasted seeds that have been processed, whose fat, especially fat is heat sensitive, has now been denatured to some degree. And also, these nuts may be sweetened. They may have different additives on them. They may have, salt or sugar or whatever. Actually, a lot of nuts have added oils. So they're roasted in oils. So these are the nuts that are not going to be heart healthy. These are the nuts that are going to be causing more problems than actually providing benefits. So this is why the healthiest way is, again, raw nuts and seeds. And if you can soak your nuts and seeds, that's even better. The only exception here would be those omega-3 seeds. That is the flaxseed, something like a chia seed, as well as the hemp seed. Yes, some people soak them. You can do that. I don't recommend. Basically, it's not that I don't recommend it. You just don't need to. You're putting them in the green smoothie. The blender digests or processes them very well for easy digestion. There's no problems with that. And they will also turn slimy jelly, the flax and the chia. So in that case, you don't have to. But if you're going to put almonds, definitely soak them. Again, you want that creamy, richer smoothie. Don't look to the non-dairy milk. Add in a handful or a quarter cup of soaked raw almonds. Excellent boost, excellent addition if you're looking for that in your green smoothies. Now, we've finished what not to add. That is the big list. That is the most important list. And besides like blatantly processed foods, I can't think of anything else to share with you on that front. However, there's a few caution ingredients that are not bad at all for your health. There's just a few cautionary notes I want to share with you why you may not want to add them in to have super delicious green smoothies. You might be on a health kick goal and saying, yes, I'm going to add all these wonderful whole plant foods. I heard they're so medicinal and so anti-cancerous and they, help me lose weight. Fantastic. But remember, keep it in perspective. More is not always better, or rarely it is better. So in this sense, if you like your fresh or dried ginger or turmeric, that's great. They are amazing, powerful, medicinal. But you may just not want to put them in your green smoothie. Why? Because they will alter the flavor. Now, if you love ginger flavor, great, add them in. Turmeric, on the other hand, has more of a pungent, bitter flavor, so you can easily ruin your smoothie. So turmeric, fantastic, but keep it for your savory meals, your curries, your soups, etc., rather than blending it with sweet fruits and having a nice overall package. So in this sense, fresh or dried herbs, you have to just be a little bit cautious about that because, again, while they're fantastic, some have very strong flavors like parsley even. So if you like it, great, add it in if you want to, but you don't want to, again, ruin the flavor. Fresh or dried spices, that would, again, be like the turmeric, etc. Vegetables. Now, sometimes I get asked, but what about celery? What about my broccoli? They're amazing. You should eat them, but not necessarily part of a green smoothie because it's not going to make it delicious. You would be better off by eating those as, again, part of a curry, a salad, a soup, some kind of an other main dish, but not as part of a green smoothie. So again, remember, keep things in perspective rather than just trying to throw everything healthy into a green smoothie. That's not the point. Now, I've been also asked, well, what about oatmeal? Some people want to bulk up their smoothie with oats, with quinoa, with all kinds of different grains. Yes, you can do that, cooked, not raw, as digestion is completely different for these grains. Unless they're a seed like buckwheat, you can soak your buckwheat raw, no problem. But in general, you want to add them cooked, but be mindful here of texture problems. They might make your smoothie more like a pudding, which is fine. Maybe you're making a green smoothie bowl, as I talked about in the last class, about healthy plant-based breakfast meal ideas. So that's fine, but again, something for you to keep in mind. How much do you want to bulk it up and how is it going to impact the flavor? Because there's nothing worse than not enjoying this, or worse yet, wasting all of this wonderful food, having to throw it out or wasting your money. And legumes, yes, I've been asked about, what about chickpeas? What about other beans, lentils? Can I add sprouts or cooked? Sure you can. They're great healthy foods. But my recommendation is this is not the time or place for your legumes. So save them for other meals, for your, whatever, maybe even snacks, hummuses, etc. But in a, optimally healthy green smoothie, again, not to add in too many ingredients for your body to have to deal with. Keep it simple, keep it whole, and that would be the best way to go. And so at this time, we have reached the end of our presentation. And as I've been sharing with you, I have lots of articles, whether it's about the dairy you want to understand better, whether it's about the oils, whether it's about the protein powders, whether it's about protein in general. All of those articles are on evolvingwellness.com. If you put those keywords in the search, they will get brought up easily. There's some recipes there as well, and more video tutorials, and especially that green smoothie template tutorial that shows you what to use and examples of what to use, you can find on healthitarian.com. And my general website, if you want to learn more about me, how and why I teach what I do, what my background experience is, or just learn about more of my offerings, classes, courses that I have, then evitaoshel.com. Thanks again, everyone. Goodbye.